big congratulations on such an impressive GMAT score, 695.
Thank
So
you.
you've got if I'm looking at a performance by section, we're looking at a quant 100th percentile, verbal 79th percentile, and data insight 90th percentile. So, do you recall how many questions you got right and wrong in these?
Uh, in quant, I got nothing wrong. In verbal, I think I have got around seven odd questions wrong.
Right.
Yeah, and in data insights also, I think 6 to 7 questions I went wrong.
Wow, quant 100 percentile, like all of the questions are right. So, do you have any regrets with the verbal or the DI? Like, if you look back on the exam and you think, and now that you have the score report in hand, do
Yeah,
you
I think
think that
actually
you could do something better?
I have a lot going on in my mind when I saw how many questions actually went wrong. I estimated at least okay, 3 to 4 questions may go wrong, but I never expected these many to go down. Actually,
It,
my individual these scores they helped me a lot. I mean, in my data sufficiency, I scored 100 percentile, and this multi-source reasoning, I scored 100 percentile.
right,
So they pulled my score up.
right. So, but overall, if you look, you're saying that, you thought maybe 3 or 4 questions. Did you
Yeah.
analyze after you got your performance section? Like it may have come in a day or two. Did you see, do you recall any of the question that you thought it
No,
was right and it went incorrect?
actually, that is surprising part. Time was left with me after I answered everything. Even in
Right.
verbal, actually 5 minutes was left with me after
Oh,
everything. Yeah, actually I've revised all the questions also again. So I don't think I went. I don't know where it went wrong. So
it went wrong.
it's a
All right.
regret anyway.
No problem. So let's just go, take a flashback. Why don't we just start your GMAT journey by introducing yourself, where you working, and how did your decision to take the GMAT come about, right? What motivated you to start this journey?
Oh, so it's a quite a long story. I don't know. After my BTech, I actually a few of my friends went for MBA side, and few of us have decided we'll go for government jobs.
Okay.
So we have given GATE, and in my college days, I didn't get GATE
Right.
examination, so I took an year off. So there I have attempted ESC also, engineering services.
Mm,
So in GATE, I got All India 16th rank, where
right.
around 1,70,000 I've given the exam, and I got 16th. And I was state first ranker at that time. So I got into Indian Oil and other. I didn't get ESC then.
Mm,
So later, joining Indian Oil, I thought I'll prepare for ESC. So then railways have been withdrawn from ESC. So my next course of action is gone then. So then later I shifted to BIS, thinking it's kind of more like a bureaucratic kind of this thing.
mm,
So after joining BIS, I was somewhere in my back of mind. I was thinking it's not where I fit in.
mm,
So I wanted to move out. Then my friends gave me an option of GMAT, and where there can be a 1 year MBA, and we can explore that side. Taking that decision actually took me 6 months, because it is another side of coin,
right.
because
I mean,
being in a
from
government and
being
being in a private.
masters or government job to doing an MBA,
Yeah,
it's a complete flip of world
yeah.
altogether. So
So
how did
yeah,
that decision come about? 6 months.
so I actually weighed all of my pros and cons. How am I gonna fit in, and how India is moving forward? Because I see a major transition. Being in government, I know, because earlier corporates used to come behind government. Now government is going behind corporates.
Right.
So I just want to be the other side.
Other side of
So that's what my decision. That's how my decision came up. So I just entered that side, and initially starting with GMAT, I got misled by a few YouTube videos and all. They said you can self prepare. So I started to self prepare, and which first time I got 640,
the classic edition.
classic edition 640.
Right.
So then I took a tutor. I mean, I went into eGMAT. So so then I studied for 2 months. Then I gave again. Actually, initially I gave for first round. Second time I gave for second round. So then I got 650.
Right.
So third time again after one and a half month again I gave the examination. Then I got 630 again.
Right. Lower
630.
than lowest.
Yeah, it came down. And then fourth time, it is exactly 1 week before my third round deadline for ISB. So I gave the exam and I got 640 again.
Right.
So then I applied with 650 and I know I'm not getting in, so I didn't get in also. Then then again I started exploring the options. I was in a dilemma between top 1% and Magush. So I discussed with Richa. Richa, she explained me totally about how top 1% goes. And one extra thing that I like in top 1% is tutors are Indians. So they keep Indian students in mind and they do that thing. Non-native English speakers actually this is a very big pro with top 1%. And Sandeep sir is he's a god for I think GMAT. I mean no tutor can go that far. I mean teach everything. He actually molded my brain into reading any passage or something. Now if I read any passage, I look at it with tone, the octave thing when I read the passage.
Tone, yeah, yes, yes, absolutely. So,
Yeah,
one of the things, I mean, whatever you said in a couple of minutes is really, really heartwarming. When we all agree about how Sandeep can really bring about such a change in a transformation change in the way that you look at certain content and look at a little bit, any material, because this is not an exam of just GMAT alone, right?
yeah,
When you're looking at it has transformed into you reading, looking at any newspaper article also.
that's
You're
very true.
going to be putting in that much thought in throughout. So starting with your GMAT preparation when you initially started, and we'll go about this in a chronological order, right?
Yeah.
So from how you planned, what materials you used in throughout your preparation, how did you structure entire your preparation, to your execution, that is until let's say the exam day, right? Could you just walk us through for all the for all the sections?
Yeah, I actually surrendered for the course. I mean, sir said you should completely give yourself for the course. So I didn't take any material outside top 1%, and this is quite exhaustive. I mean, doing this material itself is it will take around 6 to 7 months of time, and I used to travel a lot. So I mean, I need to stay at least in 4 places in 4 days in a week. So that much travel I used to do. Only thing I could not ace in the preparation strategies was giving continuous time for 3 hours,
Right,
which I think everyone should give. Otherwise, it will be very hard. I mean, consistency is definitely the key. Even initially, I underestimated it, but later, when I was consistent for 2 months, I could see a monstrous change in my uh, whole graph of GMAT prep.
right,
So initially, I started with top 1 percentile, and as the Excel sheet says, I started with the with knowing the instructor. I started, then went to the awareness, then everything according to Excel. I started and ended, but I could not give the complete test series. I mean, the sectional test, mock test, and everything I could not give. But all the material which Sandeep sir gave given, I've finished everything. And I mean, top 1% exams are also very difficult. So acing in these will definitely give a very good leap in the final examination. That's what I felt.
right. So speaking
Yeah.
of consistency, you said when in those 2 months when you actually really put your heart and mind into it, and it was a monstrous, in your own words, a change. How many hours of effort that you saw yourself putting every day or at least every week?
Uh, every week, I would say I was putting around 30 hours.
30, yes.
30 hours. And every day, it depends. In one day, at least, I used to put 2 hours a day
Right.
because I think that is definitely needed, not shifting focus.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so approximately, if you have to divide equally, it is at least 4 hours every
Yes. Yes.
single day. If you're
Yes.
saying 2 hours a weekday, then probably a lot of amount would have gone in the weekend, right?
Yes.
So,
Very.
initially, when you started, and I can only guess right now, looking at this score, but what was your initial challenges? Like when you looked at, even if, let's say, if quant has been your strength, when you initially started in any of the section, even if it was your strength, and versus when you looked at the material and prep, what kind of changed for you?
Actually, I was feeling I was a master of quant from very start, because I aced so many tests which are quite quantitative earlier.
Yes.
I mean, I given gate and everything. But when I saw the material, quant itself was overwhelming. I mean, it was difficult, I would say. Here also, even here, I had practiced quant. I will not deny that fact. So
Right.
I have practiced, and I think practicing quant itself is also very important, because acing the GMAT is not about uh, I mean, not only about getting few questions right. It should be every question must be right, because I've seen few scores which have dipped from 100 to 90 in quant. So I mean, their score, their final progression, it came very very low. I mean, giving 100%, 100 percentile in at least one of the three will make your score jump like a lot. So
Yes.
that was my quant part. But coming to verbal, it was like a whole different realm, I would say, because in verbal, the top score I scored earlier was 30 percentile.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, that's like the maximum, 4 attempts
That
to
Yeah,
join.
that was the maximum in my four attempts. That is 30th percentile is the maximum in my four attempts.
Okay. And what really changed? Can you, because then this is really like a transformative experience, a 32 close to 7, you at least a 75, 80 percentile. We're looking at 1 second. Let me just see again. We're looking at 79th percentile,
Yeah,
right?
that is
So
around
almost, 2.5 times, at least more than 2 times. So what material and what is the mindset shift that you had when you were studying with verbal? What particular material did stand out in your preparation you would like to highlight?
I mean, I would definitely give the way we should think of the verbal this part, because every tutor teaches in a very different way.
True.
I mean, the way RC was taught to me, it was quite different from other tutors. I mean, Octave tool and many other things which Sandeep sir told in RC. The main thing I loved in this was don't write anything and never reread. Those were two things which I have adhered to like anything, because in many videos I have heard of these things also. They
Right.
said don't read, so I never reread anything. So I always used to read at once and go. So my RC speed has picked up gradually. He said you should at least do 400 passages, and I did all the 400 passages.
Oh,
And at
super.
last, I was very much comfortable with the RC. So my CR actually picked up with the practice which sir has given to me. At least he has given me around 2,000 questions, and I've solved all the 2,000 questions. So in CR, I've given some 3 hour continuous long sittings and all. So those have helped me like anything. So in every question of CR, I think I never took more than 70 seconds per question. I've solved it everything, and my accuracy was around 85 percentile in my CR.
So,
In my
while you were doing this extensive amount of questions, did you see a slow progression of the accuracy, or was there any point where you had like a complete block? Ki, "Arey, now from this point, I'm unable to cross," something like that. Some experience like that happened in verbal section.
No, no, I never felt anything. It was a continuous progression, slowly, slowly, because uh, I never expected result to come very fast, because fast results are never going to last long. So I slowly aged up. I mean, I took 30 questions at a time, and I solved it without any timer or something. Then later I started to keep timer. My accuracy dipped down, and I actually felt happy when it dipped down, because it's again going to increase anyway.
Right.
So it slowly started to increase, and in CR I was touching 100% almost every time later.
Right.
So in my questions also, my CR used to take very less time, and which the time I used to spare it for RC, because especially in top 1 percentile, RC passages are lengthy, and so I need to spare a lot of time for RC passages, which I did then. So and that helped me.
So one of the things that I definitely hear someone who really loves math, right? And they tend to love verbal section simply because the way Sir teaches these technique is very logical. It's very mathematical as well. So is that true even for you?
Which section? Sorry, I'm unable to get.
Because someone who likes maths, because it's very logical and mathematical. Of course, it's math, right? Or quant. They even tend to love verbal because Sir has Sir's technique, Octave, ACT, ANT, is very mathematical in nature. It's not very extensive, just reading material. You are applying some logic. So is that even true for you? That's how you felt very comfortable around verbal
Yeah,
as
definitely, definitely. Even me and my friends who few have taken top 1 percentile, even they comment because sir has taught us one technique which is called verify, which eliminates few answers immediately. So at least 2 to 3 answers he will eliminate. We will eliminate immediately. So
right,
that is one technique where I felt it is quite like mathematics, more like a verbal than like a verbal.
right,
So where we need to find few words, and if these words are there, we'll eliminate them immediately.
right,
So I mean that part actually I felt verbal more like mathematics than like a verbal because everywhere there are few tricks and there are few tips which are given by Sandeep sir. We need to grasp and we need to apply it every time.
right,
And sir's lectures are also like 3 hour continuously. So I mean those even help us build our stamina in sitting and reading, studying, because we never spend 3 hours for studies, right, continuously after we join work and everything.
right. So, looking at the data insight, because this, given that you have a background of preparing for the classic edition, data insight was never a topic that was taken, especially the IA was not a topic that was taken seriously, right? So, how did this data insight come as a surprise or as a shock or as a boon or a curse for you in the exam?
I think it's definitely a boon for me because the data insights involves data sufficiency also, which I'm good at. I mean, you see, quant I've scored 100%, data sufficiency I scored 100%.
Okay,
So I mean, data sufficiency is quite a thing for me, and data insights mostly deals with mathematics only. So I think there also I got some advantage because this time the section it is 3 sections, right? Earlier it was only 2 sections, so score used to go drastically down if it's underscore in verbal. So I think data insights is very helpful for me, and I was very happy seeing it, looking at this because
right,
I
while preparing.
earlier
Yeah,
earlier when I gave classic edition, my data insight score never crossed 4 or something. I mean, IR integrated reasoning score never crossed 4.
right.
So, but now I think I scored 90th.
So you mentioned you did earlier in our conversation, you said you really relied on the mock portals. Of course, we have intentionally made the portals very, very difficult because then it would make the exam. When you look at the official GMAT mock, then you will get a somewhat similar kind of idea of what your GMAT exam will be like. But really pushing you through with the current mock was very intentional, like the top mock. So how did you exhaust all of these mock portal and how did you analyze them? How did you like them or dislike them? What would you say about the portal?
Actually, I like them. There is no denying of that fact. Why? Because I'll tell you one thing. When we go into examination, guy, uh, a kind of guy like me will not like surprises in the exam, because see, if we see a very lengthy RC passage at once, we are definitely going to panic at that time, and exam is going to go out.
Right,
So I mean, practicing itself, if we are getting so lengthy passages, and in exam we see a shorter one, we feel like no, we are doing very well, and we go forward.
right,
Like reading these passages took me around 4 minutes in the practice time, and in main passage I recall I did in less than 1.5 minute the reading of the passages and doing answers and all. So uh, I mean, I say I definitely liked it,
portal
and it
can,
should be this should be the way. And I exhausted only 6 of them, the complete test, and I could not do many.
right. So, in coming to the almost the last part of your the entire preparation, which is your exam. So, give us the exam experience. Give me the exam experience. What order did you choose, and why did you choose that order? And how about pacing? You already mentioned that you saved a lot of time in all of the sections, but you could just tell us again in each of the section. Did you find any unusual question? And if you did save time, how did you go about? Going through the questions, all of the questions again.
Okay. So initially when I start, my order was like first I'll start with quant, then I'll
That's
go with data insights,
okay.
then I'll take a break, and then I'll go for verbal. That was my order.
Right.
So initially, I had some black coffee or something. I went into examination hall. I did my quant, and I had around 15, no, no, 12 minutes left and on the clock.
On quant. Okay.
Yeah, on the clock. So I started from the very first question. Initially, I bookmarked few questions which I have reread, and I thought everything was correct only. So I unmarked them and moved on. Then, then I started from the very first question. In the Up to 14th question I have done, and I've seen three mistakes which I've committed, and I've rectified all of three.
So
After
incorrect
that, I had
went through.
yeah.
Okay.
After that, I had some 3 to 4 minutes left, which I felt no, it isn't. It is of no use because I have exhausted all of my three attempts. So I stayed there and I made myself calm for the data insights section for the 2 minutes. Then I jumped into data insights. Data insights, I saved around 5 minutes of time. Uh, the same thing, I bookmarked few questions, and in data insights, I didn't find anything wrong in my in my answer, so I didn't rectify anything. Then I took my break. I had some black coffee again. Then I entered into verbal section. In
Right.
verbal section, actually, I exhausted 40 seconds of my time before entering.
Okay.
So,
It did
so
panic strike at that time.
no, I didn't panic because I was definitely knowing that CR is going to be my strong part. So I'll say so 40 seconds in CR. So it's not
Right.
a problem.
Right.
So I entered. I saw some 3 to 4 CR questions in the first set itself, and four questions I did in 5 minutes. So that gave me a very big boost. That no, I saved a lot of time. Then one science passage has come.
Right.
That is a boon again for me because science passage doesn't matter how much long it is. I can store all that in my memory and I can repeat it back in the
Right.
answers. So I did my whole passage of four questions in some 7 to 8 minutes or odd because it was a lengthy passage. Then again CR came, then RC came. So at last I was seeing I have accumulated 5 minutes of my time. Then I started to panic because I never time time was always a problem for me in verbal, but this time I saved it.
Right.
So again I started to reread all the questions which are the bookmarked and everything. So then at last I ended test and I've seen the 695. Initially I felt it was a blur because I never I never saw that kind of score, and I never expected also because I was always aiming my profile would be a bit good. So going into ISB, I should definitely score 645 or 655 odd, not more than that. But I got 695. Then later I didn't see any other section also. I just came out. Yeah, I was in some trance mode. Then then later I started to think, no, what is my score? Tomorrow, next day morning, it appeared on
You
the
had
portal.
to
Then
wait for till next day. But yeah, that happens a lot. I mean, people are like, once the exam ho gaya and I'm forgetting to see the score. I hope GMAT does something about it, that they at least give the unofficial score report so that 24 hours of, trance mode,
it will, I
the zone
mean,
out should not be there.
I
Yeah,
mean, imagine I've given my four attempts last year, and this time I'm giving, and
it
keeping a
was.
very small edge for ISB. I mean, 17 days is left to apply for ISB.
Apply.
Then I'm
You can
giving my
easily. Yeah.
yeah.
ISB's application is not that difficult to kind of get in. The GMAT is the only big roadblock that you have. So, given now that you're on the other side, you have a fantastic score. ISB definitely is just not the only school. I hope you apply to even other schools as well, based on whatever your interests are at the end of it, right? So, what would you say based on your experience? uh, and your GMAT journey, what are the do's and the don'ts? How could you summarize all your experiences, the GMAT experience? And if you have to tell this probably to maybe your friends or anyone, what would be the do's and the don'ts you would say, Akhil?
First, I would say uh, don't underestimate the exam because see, many of the UPSC candidates and other people may think that it is an easy exam. So one must definitely respect the examination and give the proper dedication for it because
Right,
going blindly will definitely be a disaster for you. And second thing, you should always be consistent while preparation because consistency is the key, which is what I learned now. uh, and consistent and be consistent and surrender yourself for the course.
right,
Don't think too much, don't ask too many people or too many courses. You respect your teacher and you move forward. That's what I would say. You should not think too much about it. Whatever he says, you do, and you will definitely get the score. That's what I felt, at least with the Sandeep sir.
right,
And these are the do's and don'ts. I would say do not go to exam without planning anything. Like वहाँ जाके देखेंगे कि quant पहले करेंगे फिर verbal पहले करेंगे. You should always be prepared. You should always make yourself streamlined, and I would say keep exam at least 3 to 4 days before, and uh, and do the mocks on exact time.
As your
Uh,
exam time.
at your exam time, yeah, so that will help your mind to tune to the exam time. That's what I did. So I mean that panned out well.
Right. So, again, on the other level, did you get a chance to see KTW videos or awareness videos in your course of preparation?
I have seen actually. I've seen few of them. Awareness videos I've completed. KTW I regret I didn't complete. I've started because uh, my I don't have too much time to dedicate on these and that and all. So I've seen Sandeep sir saying you can keep the KTW videos again
At the
for
end,
later,
yes.
for your preparation of interview and all. Now I'm starting it again. The course I'll finish it by September 30th. So
Right. So thank you so much for sharing this. So what you are going to be a part of Top 1%, you're a part of this community, and the learning will not stop. GMAT, of course, is top for you, but beyond that, you know what Sandeep sir does through the KTW session, through JSS, and whenever you feel like, you know, at any time tuning in and knowing about the world, today's world that we are in, right? You know, you can always catch up. Here's what I would say, you know, do take up the KTW because that will give you a bigger perspective of what you would like, what your interests would be like, and even having a conversation with anybody who is not just in your own domain, but different verticals, you can really strike a, you know, better conversation and knowing world. And, you know, you've seen a bit of it, you've tasted a bit of it, right? So you know what
yeah,
it can
I
bring.
definitely agree. I definitely agree because the knowledge we get, especially with the connecting dots thing, we get a elevated knowledge, and the mindset itself changes when we see the world in a different perspective. Yeah, so I mean, I definitely am gonna finish all of these videos and make myself so much better for the interviews of the MBA. And I'm planning to apply for INSEAD, and next option will be ISB.
Right.
So,
Perfect, perfect. And keep us posted. Let's keep connected. Here's wishing from Sandeep sir, from the entire team of Top 1%, a very best of luck. And hopefully, you know, very soon we'll hear the admit also, whichever school that you apply to. If you have any message for Sandeep sir, please let me know. You know, I'll be happy to pass it on to him as well.
I asked even Richa also whether I could simply thank him because initially when he actually took one small session for us while joining, so I expressed my this thing that sir, I have attempted GMAT 4 times, but I have got these scores. Then I said, sir, should I drop my preparation or should do you recommend me to continue? Then he asked me a few questions. I answered them. Then he said, see, do not drop your preparation. Whether you join top 1% or not, it's not my question. Don't drop your preparation. You keep on going and you will definitely do it. That's what his message was. And I think today I justified his
Statement back then.
yeah, I justified his work. I mean, he has worked a lot. I mean, he is a guy of passion. There is no doubt. So, sitting for 3 hours continuously teaching, I mean, I absolutely respect him. If he was available for me, I'll definitely go meet him in person and thank him because he actually changed my life. GMAT score is a different thing, but the confidence which we get after a lot of struggle, it's on a whole different thing. And he made me achieve it, and I'm very thankful for him. If
Right.
you meet, please convey
I
my
will,
regards.
no, this message will definitely reach out. See, he's a teacher by heart, right? So if he's going to listen to your score, it just feels whatever he's doing is valid. It's like validating whatever he's doing. Today also is actually at this hour, he's teaching some of the classes, as you know. He's taking some of the basic class right now. You know, that's him. And I will
Yeah,
anyways pass this message to him separately. But thank you so much. You know, wishing you all the very best and good luck. Thank you so much for joining in.
thanks,
Take care.
Natasha.
Bye. Good night.